Canes got a win last night.
Let's go.
I'm going to continue talking about this game the way we talked about it yesterday going into the game. Let's not overcomplicate things. Let's keep it simple. That's an old school great win. Just prior to the information age where everything is at your fingertips and you know going into a game, they're this many points of expected goals over the difference between their ice time of left-handed centers and dip-a-da-da-ba-doo. Before all of that, you just looked at a team and you went, are they good? Will my team win? The Canes went on the road to a team they don't see very often. They're going to play them twice in the regular season. The next time's not till over halfway through January. They went to Vegas. It was a good team, and they thoroughly dominated. That's as old school as it gets. You're ahead by 2, make it 4. You get some fortuitous bounces, you take advantage of them. Your goalie plays well, you win the game. It's that simple. They didn't complicate it, right? They played really well from the opening puck drop. They did take advantage of those fortuitous breaks I mentioned. Tyson Jost, he scored a goal that I think Slavin had to tell him, "Hey man, you scored."
It's like, hey, something bit me. Oh, there it is. Puck in the back of the net.
Exactly. Did the net move? I felt something, and then he scored. Jordan Martinook, right? Just doing the Jordan Martinook thing of making everybody work. You're trying to kill a penalty, and he somehow ends up there's a loose puck. Jordan Stahl rips it home. Just doing the right things, being in the right places, seeing each play through, converting. By the way, it had been since at least 2015 that Jordan Stahl had a slap shot goal, like a true slap shot goal. 2015. It's almost a decade ago. But, again, a game where things are going your way, why not try it? And then there's the whole... I mean, everything I'm saying right now could be about the Canes last night, could be about Martin Necas' season. He's just showing up, playing good hockey, being in the right spot, making plays. When he has the opportunity, he's converting, and he has a 10-game point streak. 21st in Canes history to have a 10-game point streak. Rod Brind'amour talked about the line of Robinson, Kotkaniemi, and Necas. This is Coach Brind'amour from the postgame.
Talk about contributions, right? It's not one guy. All three now are really, I think, dialed in and, really been, I guess, almost our number one line. That's been real positive for us.
Been a real positive. You think? It's at least the Necas part of it, right? Obviously, KK is going to have his backers and detractors until he goes on a Necas style run. But yeah, there's a lot of things going on that are pretty darn good. Pyotr Kochetkov stopped 30 of 32 shots he faced. Wasn't really tested while the lead was being built, but did his job as the night went on. Did give up a garbage time power play, but hey. At one point, I was looking at the stats, right, trying to pay attention to everything going on last night. I think it might have been the end of the first period. It was near the end of the first period. I looked down at the shots on goal stats, and the Vegas had 4, and Kotkaniemi had 4, and there was whatever it was 15 for the Canes overall. But I went, you know what? That's probably a good sign when one of your guys is matching their entire shot. And there was a 2-0 lead, I think, at the time. So it was just things were going well from the beginning. It's a really good, simple, well-played, bounce-back game from a weird game in Colorado. And that is really the only in-depth opinion I have on this game, because I'm not going to look into this any more than we already did. But the game a few nights ago at Colorado, I described it as the movie The Hangover, where starts off you're having a fun time, then there's a portion of the night that disappears from your memory, and then suddenly you're Bradley Cooper rubbing your forehead on the phone like, I don't know what happened. We lost Doug. That's kind of how the Colorado game felt, right? You got ahead by 2, you head into the second period, everyone's having a good time, you're around the craps table, and then bada boom, bada bang, 10 minutes later, you're like, was that Mike Tyson with a tiger? So they had a rough one. Well, guess what? What I didn't know is if we're using the hangover metaphor, Canes are like in the best way possible the annoying morning people on like a Vegas trip. Like the annoying morning guy. Like you stay out, like you were drinking with him, you stayed out with him. You know he didn't get to bed till 3:30 in the morning. You wake up at 9, he's already worked out. He's got like a sweaty workout shirt on. He's cleaning the kitchen and he's like, "All right, man, come on. We got to hit the golf course." It's like, how are you doing that? The Canes bounced back in such a way that I'm like, how are you doing this? So that debacle in the second period against Colorado really just doesn't affect you? You show up the next game in Vegas ready to roll from the moment you wake up? Even though Seth Jarvis isn't playing due to the injury that I didn't see coming. We had an idea that somebody was banged up, maybe Drury, maybe this guy, maybe that guy. It ends up being Seth Jarvis. That right there is a reason to throw off some teams mentally. Obviously, a locker room favorite, Seth Jarvis.
For sure.
Obviously a talent. Like even if he was the quiet guy that sits in the corner, just missing out on his production, his on ice ability could be enough to be like, oh man, this game's going to stink. We don't have Seth. You mix in that you're missing your buddy. You feel for like that's enough to rattle a team. This team is very difficult to rattle. Very difficult to rattle. And all of this is it's good to know about yourself. Because let's be real. At this point in the season, you string together 2 or 3 bad games. It's not the end of the world. They're talented enough. The system is proven enough. Rod Brind'amour is proven enough that you'll right the ship with adjustments and the appropriate timed speech, and then you'll bounce back eventually. But knowing that you can do it the way you just did over the last 2 games gives you confidence in a series, right? If it's going on a 2 or 3 game, 4 game kind of rough play streak is not the end of the world in the middle of the regular season. It is the end of your season in the postseason. And the ability to grab yourself out of a bad game and play a really, really good one the next night or 2 nights later, that's the kind of stuff that is really good to know about yourself so you don't panic when you're put in those situations when the stakes are higher.
The new guys are really chipping in a whole lot. We all talk about Jack Roslovic has 9 goals this season. What about Eric Robinson, the guy that we haven't really mentioned a lot?
On that line with Natchez,
Natchez and Kokaniemi.
Which makes you're going to be overshadowed a little bit. But yes, you're right. He deserves to be mentioned.
So since he got put on that line full-time, this is back during the Edmonton game is when he actually got put on that line during the line shuffle. But since then, he's been on a line with Kokaniemi and Natchez full-time. So the last 9 games for Eric Robinson, 4 goals, 3 assists, plus 9. All
4
points
goals,
coming at
3
even
assists,
strength.
plus 9.
Because he doesn't get any power play time.
It's pretty darn good.
Yeah, shooting 28.6%, which is bonkers.
Pretty darn good. And we might have to talk about this later, maybe even dive in further over the next couple of days, depending on how long it extends. Mm-hmm. But I think in some ways, the new guys are performing so well, and Natchez, who is, we'll call him a brand new guy.
New contract, new deal.
Yeah, exactly. Playing so well that maybe there's some production lulls from some of the tried and true, some of the core 4, right? Some production lulls from an Aho, a Svetch, Jarvis pre-injury that but Gostisbehere is scoring and Roslovic is scoring and this is happening and that is that we're not noticing. So
Jordan Martinook has 5 goals last 4 games.
It's
all right.
The team isn't struggling, but there are some guys that you would expect them to pick it up at some point, and if they do, and these other new forms of production could be a little bit of a gasoline to a fire situation. Hurricanes won 5-2, by the way. Could have been more. We won't nitpick.